what if the 97% of your DNA that mainstream science basically calls junk is actually, an inactive multidimensional software code?
Right.
And what if the relentless, exhausting chaos of human history isn't just human nature, but, well, the deliberate byproduct of whoever switched that code off?
I mean, it completely reframes our entire understanding of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
We're looking at this paradigm where humanity isn't at the top of the evolutionary food chain, but rather we're suffering from a sort of induced amnesia. We're holding on to this dormant hardware that we just, we don't know how to turn on.
Exactly. And that is the incredibly deep rabbit hole we are jumping into today for this deep dive. We're going to unpack this massive, mind-bending cartography of existence based on an interview with Mathieu Monod, discussing his book, Voyage au cœur de l'humanité.
Yeah, it's a fascinating framework.
It really is. And the thing is, he hasn't built this framework by digging up ancient pottery or translating old scrolls. He synthesized over 500 published hypnosis sessions.
Out of thousands he's actually conducted.
Right, thousands. And he used them to map out the hidden dimensions surrounding us.
So the mission for our deep dive today is to really explore this alternative cosmology. And whether you listening to this choose to view this as literal objective truth or just, a beautifully intricate piece of metaphysical science fiction, the insights it offers are really profound.
Oh, absolutely.
It provides this highly detailed framework for understanding personal sovereignty, unlocking human potential, and navigating the hidden energetic mechanics of your daily life.
But, before we get to the cosmic claims about multidimensional genetics and energy farms, we really have to look at the source itself.
Yeah, we have to contextualize it.
Because if someone tells me they've rewritten human history based on, thousands of hypnosis sessions, my immediate reaction is absolute skepticism. Full stop.
Which is completely fair.
Right. But the fascinating part is that Mathieu started out exactly the same way. He was this highly logical Cartesian professional who fundamentally rejected the concept of life after death.
Right. His background was entirely rooted in a materialistic worldview. And the shift for him happened through this highly personal, undeniable anomaly.
The grandfather story.
Yeah. He describes waking up one morning, hovering in the liminal state between sleep and wakefulness, and clearly hearing the voice of his deceased grandfather.
Which is wild on its own.
Right. But the grandfather didn't just say a generic hello or something. He delivered a highly specific, complex message intended for Mathieu's mother.
And a true skeptic doesn't just blindly pass that message along, right? Mathieu essentially runs a blind test on his own paranormal experience.
Exactly.
He tells his mother he had a strange dream and suggests she visit a medium, someone neither of them had ever met.
And then the medium just repeats the grandfather's exact message, word for word, to his mother. For a rigidly logical thinker, that shatters the foundation of their reality. It provided measurable proof that information was being transmitted outside of conventional physical laws.
And that's what pushed him to aggressively investigate how to access that information field, which brings him to regressive hypnosis.
Yeah, but he realizes pretty quickly that putting standard clients under hypnosis is flawed.
Right, so he uses this surrogate method. Walk us through the mechanics of that, because it sounds like a really unusual protocol.
It is. So traditional regressive hypnosis relies on the client going under, which has major drawbacks.
Like what?
Well, it can cause severe energetic burnout for the client. And if a person is highly guarded or deeply traumatized, their subconscious simply won't open up.
Oh, I see.
So to bypass that friction, Mathieu's team uses a telepath. This is a highly receptive surrogate who goes into a deep hypnotic state on behalf of the client.
Right.
The operator asks the questions, and the telepath essentially acts as a human antenna, tuning into the information field for the client.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
If you have an operator talking to a highly suggestible person under hypnosis, isn't that just a massive breeding ground for confirmation bias?
It's the biggest risk, yeah.
If the operator leads the witness and asks about a flat Earth, won't the surrogate's brain just invent a flat Earth to please them? Humans are inherently suggestible. How do they know the telepath isn't just pulling from a sci-fi movie they watched last week?
Well, that vulnerability is the exact reason they had to implement rigorous double-blind protocols.
Okay.
They have a collective of around 40 practitioners in their research center, and to ensure the data isn't just psychological projection, they assign a target, say, the energetic structure of the dark side of the moon.
Okay, sure.
But they assign it to multiple independent telepaths, and the operators conducting the sessions are given no context whatsoever.
They're just going blind.
Completely blind. They simply guide the telepath to a coordinate. They only validate a concept when they find identical, highly specific, overlapping data from multiple telepaths who had absolutely no idea what they were looking for.
But even with blind coordinates, if a client comes in wanting to know about aliens or something, couldn't that intention just bleed into the room?
You'd think so, but the most compelling data points actually come from clients who actively resist the premise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the foundational anecdotes in the research often involve deeply skeptical individuals. Like, there was this one corporate client who showed up in a suit and tie, entirely uninterested in metaphysics.
Just a totally normal guy.
Exactly. He just wanted a standard hypnotherapy session to help him quit smoking.
So the operator and the surrogate tune in for a session about nicotine addiction. What happens?
The telepath completely bypasses the smoking issue. The session spontaneously derails into a highly detailed description of ancient Egypt. But an Egypt operating with advanced multidimensional spacecraft.
Wait, Egyptian spaceships instead of cigarettes.
Right. And the client wakes up totally bewildered, his worldview is totally disrupted, and he completely forgets about the cigarettes.
That is wild.
It is these unprompted, spontaneous anomalies that bypass the ego's expectations and build the foundation of this whole cosmic cartography.
So let's look at the actual map they've drawn. If we zoom all the way out past human history, how do these sessions define the absolute top of the hierarchy? Like the concept of the source.
So in this framework, the source, which you could call God or the universe or ultimate consciousness, it's an infinite unified field.
Right.
But infinity is static. So to actually experience existence, to learn and know itself, that consciousness had to fragment.
It had to break itself up.
Exactly. It intentionally divides and projects pieces of itself down through various dimensional densities just to gather data.
So think about it this way. Imagine your highest consciousness, your higher self, is a phenomenally advanced being sitting in a higher dimension, playing a hyper-immersive virtual reality game.
That's a great analogy.
The physical body you are sitting in right now, like the lungs breathing air, the ears listening to my voice, is just their hand plunged into the dense VR matrix of Earth.
Right. You are a localized probe-gathering experiences. Your human life is just a tiny fractal extension of a much larger entity experiencing this specific heavy frequency of reality.
And understanding that architecture completely flips the traditional narrative about, like, spirit guides or guardian angel.
Oh, totally.
Because this part blew my mind. When people go under hypnosis and report talking to a majestic angel or some wise spirit guide, who are they actually communicating with?
In the vast majority of cases, they are communicating with a higher dimensional piece of themselves.
They are talking to the being holding the VR headset.
Yes. They are talking to their own higher self.
That is so crazy.
And the thing is, the dense matrix of Earth operates at such a heavy frequency that the higher self is terrified its localized probe, you, is going to get completely lost in the simulation.
Consumed by amnesia.
Exactly, so it constantly checks in. But it knows that if it appeared in its true multidimensional magnitude, it would literally shatter the human mind.
So it puts on a disguise.
Right, it manifests as an angel, an animal guide, or simply a gut feeling, just whatever your specific psychological makeup can comfortably process.
Wow. So Earth is essentially an incredibly difficult, dense level of this simulation. But the sessions suggest it wasn't designed to be a nightmare, right? Originally, it was a masterpiece created by beings called gardeners.
Yeah, the gardeners are cosmic engineers of life. Their specific function within the universe is to seed planets, carefully calibrating the conditions for ultimate biodiversity.
So they're like cosmic landscapers.
Basically, yeah. And Earth was designed to be a crown jewel. It was intended as a magnificent living library, a self-sustaining genetic bank for the entire universe, operating as this paradise of flora and fauna.
Well, if the blueprint was a cosmic paradise, why does looking at human history feel like watching a library run down?
That's the big question.
Right. Like, the endless loops of war, greed, and pain, they don't exactly scream living library.
No, they don't. And the data reveals that the library was actually hijacked by external forces.
The sessions detail the arrival of beings from a dying multidimensional planet. And this strongly correlates with the ancient Sumerian tablets describing the Anunnaki.
Yes, it does.
But they had a major logistical problem when they got here, didn't they?
They did. These dimensional miters existed in higher frequencies spanning from the 4th up to the 12th dimension, Earth was a dense 3D environment.
So they couldn't just hang out here.
No, they
Yeah.
couldn't comfortably exist here at all. The gravity and frequency were just too heavy. So to survive, they engineered an artificial energetic dome around the planet to alter the local frequency, creating a localized environment where they could actually operate.
But they still needed manual labor to extract the resources they came for. They initially tried to enslave the early hominids that were naturally evolving here, right? Like the Neanderthals.
Yeah, but that plan failed miserably. Because the Neanderthals possessed a consciousness entirely intertwined with the natural world. If the hijackers ordered them to strip my mountain or destroy a forest, the Neanderthals physically and psychologically could not do it.
Right.
Their energetic makeup prohibited them from violating the natural order, so the hijackers quickly realized they needed a workforce that was intelligent enough to take complex orders, but disconnected enough from the Earth's consciousness to destroy it.
Which leads to the genetic modification of humanity. But here is the ultimate paradox that the sessions uncover.
Right.
To make this compliant, intelligent worker, the hijackers had to use their own advanced DNA. Didn't they accidentally build a slave race that is biologically identical to the masters?
They imparted their own multidimensional genetic code to create the hardware of a modern human, yes, but they deliberately turned off the software switches.
Oh, I see.
And this is the explanation for junk DNA.
The 97% of our genetic code that mainstream science says has no biological function is actually dormant, godlike potential.
Exactly. The code is sitting there, just waiting for a signal. If humanity were to activate that dormant multidimensional DNA, we would instantly ascend to the exact same energetic level as our creators.
We'd be equals.
We would cease to be subordinates and become equals, perhaps even more powerful because of our connection to the Earth.
So they have a vested interest in keeping us asleep.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
The overriding desperate goal of these hijacking entities is to keep those software switches permanently flipped off by keeping humanity distracted and asleep.
And their control over the planet was cemented by a massive cosmic cataclysm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The sessions point to the destruction of a planet called Tiamat, which supposedly existed between Mars and Jupiter.
Yes.
We know the physical debris from that destruction rained down on Earth, creating the global deluge myths. But wait, how does the physical explosion of a planet shatter a non-physical energetic grid? Like, how does a rock break an energy field?
Well, it comes down to the physics of multidimensional resonance. Dimensions are not physical places layered like a cake, you know? They are overlapping frequencies of reality, much like different radio stations broadcasting in the same room. Earth had a crystalline grid, this macro-energetic scaffolding that allowed these different dimensional frequencies to coexist harmoniously on the planet.
So the fifth-dimensional being and a third-dimensional animal could exist on Earth simultaneously because the grid managed the resonance.
Exactly. And the explosion of Tiamat was so violently catastrophic that it disrupted the fundamental resonant frequency of our local solar system.
So it wasn't just space rocks.
No, the shockwave wasn't just physical debris. It was an immense electromagnetic and multi-dimensional trauma. The sheer force of that frequency disruption shattered Earth's crystalline grid.
Which completely changes our understanding of lost civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria.
Right, because the sources suggest Atlantis wasn't a physical continent that sank into a physical ocean.
It wasn't.
No, it was a highly advanced civilization vibrating at a higher dimensional frequency on Earth. When the grid collapsed, the scaffolding holding those higher frequencies failed.
Oh, wow.
Those dimensions essentially crashed down into the dense 3D reality, wiping out those civilizations or trapping them in a density they just couldn't survive in.
And the planet itself reacted to this trauma in a way that feels almost too human. Gaia, the actual consciousness of the Earth, went into a coma.
Yes.
But, I mean, how does a planetary consciousness just check out?
Well, a planet is a living macroorganism. When a human experiences unbearable trauma, the psyche disassociates to protect itself.
Right.
Gaia experienced the multidimensional equivalent of a fatal car crash. Her consciousness disassociated, hovering outside her physical planetary body in a state of profound shock.
And because she checked out, the natural systems failed.
Exactly. The Earth's natural energetic recycling system, the mechanism that processes and clears heavy toxic energy, it simply stopped.
And that caused a backup.
Yes. It created what the sessions call the lower astral realm. Imagine a planetary lymphatic system that just stops draining.
Gross.
It created a stagnant, toxic, energetic dumping ground surrounding the Earth where nothing could progress, heal, or ascend.
So with the grid broken, the higher dimensional civilizations destroyed, and Gaia in a coma, humanity was left stranded.
Completely stranded.
The dimensional miners realized their gold mines were ruined, but they discovered something far more valuable in the survivors. Like, we had a secondary use.
We did. Because humans possess that dormant, multidimensional DNA spark, human emotion carries an immense energetic charge.
Right.
The entities realize that a human experiencing intense fear, anger, or despair generates massive amounts of raw energy. Harvesting this emotional energy became infinitely more valuable than physical mining.
The energy farm.
Yes.
Think of humanity as a swarm of bees trapped inside a glass jar.
Yeah.
We are buzzing with this frantic, chaotic energy, constantly colliding with the glass, panicking, trying to find a way out. And all that friction, all that heat and kinetic energy is being passively collected by someone outside the jar.
It's a dark image, but to maximize the harvest, they constructed a matrix designed specifically to keep humans in a perpetual state of emotional volatility.
They need the bees to keep panicking.
Exactly. They set up societal systems to ensure constant conflict, fear, and deep tribal division.
Which brings us to the political landscape described in these sessions. And I want to be clear, we need to look at this with strict impartiality. The sources do not favor any political ideology.
No, they don't.
The left wing, the right wing, the entire political spectrum, how is it viewed in this cosmology?
The entire spectrum is viewed as the primary engine of the energy farm. In these hypnosis sessions, world leaders, regardless of their nation or ideology, are consistently perceived as useful idiots.
They're essentially chaotic actors orchestrated to distract humanity.
Right. Their conscious intentions barely matter. Their function within the matrix is to orchestrate endless drama, stoking division to generate a massive collective emotional output.
That induces a serious level of existential dread.
It really does.
Because if you get consumed by political hatred, if you spend your days fiercely debating the news cycle, or worse, if you are passively waiting for a specific political leader, or even a benevolent galactic fleet to swoop down and save the world,
Sure.
what are you actually accomplishing?
You are simply feeding the farm.
Right.
The matrix relies entirely on you directing your vital energy outward in frustration or hope for external salvation. Engaging in the illusion that an external savior will fix a rigged game is exactly how the game keeps you permanently trapped.
So you have to stop playing.
The only action that genuinely starves the farm is turning that energy entirely inward.
But if there's no external savior coming to break the glass jar, are we just meant to suffer until we die?
No.
Because the sessions reveal that help actually has arrived, but it bypassed the dome entirely. The help looks exactly like us.
And this circles back to the macroorganism of the planet.
Okay.
The most recent data from the sessions indicates a massive shift. Gaia's consciousness has woken up from her coma. Wow, okay.
She has returned to her planetary body and is actively purging that stagnant, toxic lower astral realm. And her return acted as a beacon. And the source put out a cosmic call for assistance.
And the response was a massive influx of volunteer souls choosing to incarnate directly into human bodies. They didn't arrive in spaceships to fight a war in the sky. They arrived through the birth canal to change the frequency from the inside out.
Exactly. And the sessions map out these volunteers in distinct generational waves.
Tell me about the waves.
So the early waves, arriving mid-century, are described as the snowplows.
They had the hardest job. They had to push through the absolute thickest, most toxic energetic density with no prior path cleared for them.
Oh, they took severe energetic beatings. Many of them felt deeply alienated, suffered from profound depression, and just felt they didn't belong on this planet.
That makes a lot of sense.
But their sheer endurance cleared a path. They were followed by the third and fourth waves, mostly born in the 80s and 90s, who acted as mediators.
Right. Their energetic blueprint was designed to build bridges, translate new spiritual concepts, and begin softening the rigid edges of the matrix.
But the kids being born right now, from around 2020 onward, the fifth wave, they are not mediators.
No, the data categorizes them as energetic bulldozers.
Bulldozers. They aren't here to negotiate with the old systems. They're incarnating at a base frequency that the old matrix literally cannot tolerate. Their mere presence disrupts the machinery of the energy farm.
Yes.
But this raises the most urgent question. If you are listening to this right now, living through this chaotic transition, how do you actually step out of the farm?
Well, Matthew's synthesis provides actionable, highly counterintuitive advice. The first directive completely contradicts standard New Age philosophy.
What is it?
He advises you to immediately drop your energetic shields.
Drop your protection. I mean, if we are surrounded by harvesting entities, that sounds suicidal.
It sounds reckless until you understand frequency.
Okay, explain that.
The very act of putting up a spiritual shield or constantly practicing psychic protection operates on the frequency of fear.
Oh.
It signals to the universe and to these entities that you believe you are vulnerable.
You're broadcasting signal that says, I am a combatant on a battlefield. Please engage with me.
Precisely. True sovereignty isn't about building thicker armor. It's about shifting your internal frequency so high that you aren't even standing on the battlefield anymore.
You just opt out.
The entities literally cannot perceive you if you don't resonate with fear. And if an entity does attempt to attach, the connection is a two-way street.
Brilliant.
You don't have to play the victim. You can use that exact same energetic tether to look back into them, understand their trauma, and effectively drain the drainers.
Wow, that flips the entire script of victimization.
It really does.
Another profound paradigm shift from the sessions deals with the concept of past lives, which the author relabels as borrowed history.
This is a vital correction for anyone exploring regressive hypnosis.
Yeah.
Often, a client will go under and vividly see themselves as a monumental historical figure, maybe Napoleon, Cleopatra, or Joan of Arc.
And the human ego immediately latches on. Like, I am the reincarnation of Napoleon. I knew I was special.
But the sessions reveal you almost certainly were not Napoleon.
Sorry to break it to you.
Right. Remember the cosmic database we discussed earlier? Your higher self plugs into that field and essentially downloads a specific file, a borrowed history, to teach you a metaphorical lesson for your current physical life.
So if your soul needs to learn a lesson about the corrupting nature of absolute power, it downloads the Napoleon file.
Yes.
Your human brain processes the intense emotions and memories linearly, assuming you actually lived it, when in reality you just played a highly immersive tutorial level.
The danger is that the ego misses the spiritual lesson because it's too busy enjoying the historical costume, you know?
Totally.
You have to extract the data and discard the identity.
Which leads to the final mechanism of sovereignty, finding your highway. The author details that when you stop fighting the matrix on its terms and align your life with the actual reason your soul chose to incarnate, the friction disappears.
He uses his own career as the primary example.
Right.
For years, he tried to force a career in the arts. He had the talent, he put in the exhausting work, but every door slammed in his face. He was constantly fighting an uphill battle against the current.
But the moment he let that go and aligned with his actual blueprint, exploring the nature of consciousness through hypnosis, life became an open highway. Opportunities materialized effortlessly.
Exactly.
The universe stops resisting you when you finally agree to walk the path you came here to walk.
Because your higher self and your guides, which again are just higher aspects of you, they can finally pour all their energetic resources into supporting a mission that aligns with your blueprint, rather than constantly fighting your ego's stubborn demands.
Let's synthesize the sheer scale of the journey we've mapped out today.
It's a lot.
It is. We started with a shattered skeptic, a strictly Cartesian mind broken open by a grandfather's impossible message.
Which forced the development of a blind telepathic methodology, bypassing the limitations of the physical brain to successfully read a cosmic database.
We uncovered the tragic history of our planet, designed as a magnificent living library by the gardeners, only to be hijacked by multidimensional miners who altered our genetics.
Leaving us with dormant, godlike potential hidden in our jump DNA.
Right. We examined the mechanics of the fall, the shattering of the crystalline grid, the coma of Gaia, and the construction of an intricate energy farm designed to harvest human emotion through endless orchestrated cycles of division and fear.
But we also mapped the rescue mission, Gaia is Awake.
Yes.
The volunteer souls, the snowplows who took the hits, the mediators who built the bridges, and the bulldozers who are tearing down the old matrix, they are already here.
And the mechanics of your personal sovereignty are entirely within your control. Drop your shields to step off the battlefield, ignore the orchestrated political theater, process your borrowed history without the ego, and align with your internal highway.
It's all about internal alignment.
Which brings us to a final provocative thought for you to carry into your day. In this cosmology, these hijacking entities have gone to unimaginable lengths, altering DNA, engineering frequency domes, orchestrating global wars, just to keep humanity ignorant, divided, and feeling small. Why?
Because they are absolutely terrified of what happens if you realize what you actually are.
Because of the fractal nature of the multiverse, everything is intimately interconnected. There are no isolated incidents in a holographic universe.
Right.
This means that every single time you choose to shift your internal frequency out of fear, every time you refuse to engage in a petty argument, every time you starve the emotional farm of its harvest, you aren't just having a good day.
That choice ripples outward.
It physically impacts the energetic density of other planets, other dimensions, and the cosmic balance of the entire architecture we've discussed today. You aren't just a trapped bee buzzing in a glass jar. You are a cosmic tuning fork. We began by talking about how history is usually uncovered by digging in the dirt. But the real history and the ultimate power is buried inside your own dormant DNA. The only question left is, what frequency are you choosing to broadcast today?